guys, so for day 4 of my Halloween designs, I am doing a set inspired by vintage Halloween decorations and designs and stuff. So to start off, for the bases of these nails, I am using, is this Lucky Charm? I'm pretty sure this is Lucky Charm from Madam Glam. I missed it when it came up on the screen. Lucky Charm and Orange Poppy from Madam Glam. I do have a discount code with Madam Glam if you're ever interested in purchasing Madam Glam products. It is Libby 35. I'll leave it up on the screen. It's also always down in the description below for anyone that is interested in purchasing anything from Madam Glam. Like I said, I do have a discount code. Saves you 35% off of your purchases. Yeah, just for anyone who's interested. If you're interested, you don't have to buy anything or use it. But anyhow, I just mixed those two together to get this kind of like orangey yellow color for the base of the pointer and the ring nail. And because I am having to like apply them with this gel applicator brush that's like not from the bottle, it does go on super thin. It also goes on kind of streaky, but Madam Glam gel polishes level out really nicely, so it did level out. But because it did go on super thin, I did have to apply like 3 or 4 coats of it. I can't remember exactly. I filmed this so long ago. I've been filming Halloween videos since August, so I don't fully remember everything that I did, and I'm just now getting around to doing the voiceovers for everything here at the end of September. So yeah, I don't fully remember everything that I did or how I did everything. I'm just kind of going based off of what I'm seeing here on the screen and what I can't remember. But anyway, I did like 3-4 coats of that, cured each coat for 60 seconds, and now I'm taking this orange color from Nails by Dev. I want to say that's Trick or Treat. It might be Pumpkin Butt. I don't know, it was up on the screen. I missed it. But I did only do 2 coats of that, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. I did this color on the other 3 nails. And I do just want to say this video is sped up a bit because it took a long time to do this, because it is a little more on the advanced side when it comes to like the 2 little characters that I did on the nails. So it did take a bit longer, and I had a lot more footage, so I kind of had to speed it up a little bit to make sure that this video wasn't super long. But anyhow, after I get all of the bases done, I did wipe them off with alcohol because I am going to do some nail art on top, and like I always say, the sticky layer does tend to act similarly to a blooming gel, where it kind of makes your lines spread out a little bit. Not as much as a normal blooming gel would, but enough to, make a difference in the lines being nice and crisp or the lines being like blurred out. So anyhow, after getting those all wiped off my nose, it's just so bad. Like, my allergies are so bad. They've been so bad the past couple days. It's been like storming so bad, and it's like whenever it storms here, my allergies always end up flaring up. Anyhow, that's besides the point. But if you like hear my voice getting weird, it's because I'm like rubbing my nose because it itches. Also, I'm like sniffling a lot. Just ignore me. I'm dying from allergies. Anyhow, I'm just taking the sketching gel from Ball Pit, which I always use whenever I'm doing like any kind of detailed type of nail art, or like any kind of little characters or anything, because it makes it easier to have the design sketched out instead of going through and doing the color blocking method. If you've watched any of my character art videos, I talk about that a lot, where I like the color blocking method just does not work for me because I'm not very good with proportions and stuff. So sketching out the design first helps me a lot to make sure that the proportions are right. You can also use a pencil to sketch out your designs on a nail, but if you do that, you have to apply a matte top coat first, or just buff the nail first. But if you don't have a top coat over the your base color, you run the risk of removing the base color. So yeah, like I said, put a top coat on, a matte top coat on, so that the pencil actually has something to grip onto. Or like you can apply the matte top coat and buff it again, like I said, just to make sure that the pencil actually has something to grab onto, because it doesn't really work very well on a smooth, shiny surface. But I'm just using the sketching gel, and I start out with a 9mm liner brush, but then for all the little details on the face, you could see I switched over to a 5mm liner brush because the face is so small and it's a lot easier to get all those teeny tiny little details with a smaller brush rather than a larger brush. And then for the bow tie, I went back to a 9mm liner brush. I'm doing like this really creepy looking like cat. I love the little vintage Halloween cats, but they are so creepy looking. I mean, all the vintage Halloween characters are creepy looking. And I think that's why I love it so much, because they're so creepy. And like, I love creepy Halloween. Like, the creepier and like the gorier, the scarier it is, like the more I love it. I'm not really a huge fan of like super cutesy Halloween. I mean, some of the cute Halloween stuff is cute, and I do kind of like it, but I definitely prefer like creepy, scary stuff over the cutesy stuff. But anyhow, I just did like the creepy black cat. I'm gonna try to remember to get my reference picture and insert that in here so you can see what I'm actually painting. Cause I just found like a picture on Pinterest. I searched up vintage Halloween and found a picture with some of the little vintage Halloween characters, and I chose two of them that I felt like would be fairly easy to do. I mean, they're not the easiest to do. I wouldn't necessarily say they're beginner friendly, but they're also not the most difficult to do. I mean, if you are a beginner and you really want to like push yourself and try something new and see like just how far you can really push yourself and like test your skills, I definitely say give this a try, because how are you going to get better if you don't push yourself, right? So, anyhow, like I said, not the easiest, not the hardest. So I did the cat on the one nail, and on this nail, I'm doing the little ghost on this nail. I really wanted to like explain everything that I was doing and how I was doing it when I was doing this video. Like when I was filming it, that was my plan. But then once I had to speed it up, like it's moving too fast for me to really go into detail and describe everything that I was doing and like how I was doing it. So I'm hoping that watching this is enough for you to like see what I'm doing and can follow along. I know YouTube has the feature where you can like slow down the videos and speed them up, so like you could obviously slow it down if you need it slowed down at all. So after I get the sketches done, I do cure for 60 seconds. And whenever I do my sketches, I don't flash cure in between because it makes it easier for me, like if I mess up, which I usually do mess up a lot, to just be able to wipe anything off real quick instead of like curing something on and thinking it's good, but then once I get the rest of it on, it wasn't good. So now I have this cured on part, and then I have to like buff it off or whatever, and like that's a whole struggle. So I don't cure my outlines or my sketches until I get them fully done. But like I always say, if you're more comfortable flash curing in between, then you are more than welcome to flash cure in between. So after I get the little sketches done, I just went in and pulled out some colors. I use a bunch of different colors. They're like oranges and creams and whites. I did do some color mixing. I think there's some yellow in there. I did use black. I don't know if I pulled all those colors out at the moment. But I do pull out a whole bunch of different colors, and I do a little bit of color mixing. I think I show the color mixing on screen. I always try to show whenever I do color mixing. I always try to show me doing that so you can see how to like mix up different colors and stuff like that, because I know color theory and like mixing up and color matching, like that can be really difficult for some people. So I feel like showing the colors that I'm using to mix up different colors that I'm mixing up kind of helps a little bit with that, and like can kind of help you get a better idea on like how to do color matching and color mixing and all that. But anyhow, now that I have the sketching done, I'm just doing basically like how you would do with a coloring book and just filling in all the spaces and whatever color is supposed to be whatever that space is. And I will flash cure in between doing certain colors. I try to go through and do like all of the same color first. So I went in with that like cream white color first for everything, and then I flash cured that. Now I'm going in with like this orange color and adding that everywhere that it needs to be added, and then going in and flash curing that once I get that applied. And I just do that with all of the colors. And then once I get the base done, because I do have to go over top like the eyes and the mouth and like the bow tie and the hat and stuff to add on some other details, I do, after getting all of the base colors on, cure for a full 60 seconds to make sure that everything is completely cured, because I am adding colors on top of it. I do want to make sure that it does have the ability to fully cure, because the more layers you add on top, the harder it is to cure the layers underneath. So if you are adding any colors on top of the first color, you do want to make sure that the first color is fully cured for the full 60 seconds before adding another color on top. So basically at this point, I'm just going in, filling in everything like I would with a coloring book, and then flash curing everything once I get those base colors done, cure for the full 60, then go in and add all the little details. And I do this for both the cat and the ghost. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let this play out, and I will come back whenever I need to come back. After I'm finished getting the little cat all painted on, I went in with the Baddest Black liner gel from Nails by Deb and just went through and did all of the outlining. Um, so really I just outlined the hat. Uh, I did the stripes on the hat with this. I also did like the teeth and the outline on his little bow tie. Um, I also used a 9mm liner brush to do all this, and outlining with a shorter liner brush is a little difficult. It's a lot easier to do it with a longer liner brush, like a 12mm liner brush. Uh, just because, like I've said in previous videos, it's easier to get straighter lines with a longer liner brush. It's also easier, at least for me, to control like brush pressure with the longer liner brushes. So with outlining, sometimes you have thicker lines for the outline and sometimes you have thinner lines for the outline. And I just feel like for me personally, using a 12mm liner brush or longer, like I have better pressure control with it, whereas I feel like when using a 9mm liner brush, I tend to be a little more heavy-handed with it. And I feel like that's because I mainly, like, I use a 9mm liner brush for just about everything that I do. Um, and that includes like color blocking and like filling in all the spaces that are there. And when doing that, I do use a heavier hand so I can spread the color out more and get more of the surface area covered in less time. So I think that's just something I have to work on a little more when it comes to using a 9mm liner brush, and like if I need to outline with it. I just need to practice like my oh my gosh, that is a tongue twister. I have to practice my brush pressure a little bit more with that. Because there are times where a 12mm liner brush is just a tad too long, especially if it's something with a lot of teeny tiny little details. I just feel like it's a lot harder to get those small details done with a longer liner brush. So like I said, that's just something that I have to work on um, when it comes to like using the different brushes and whatever. But then once I got the cat all outlined, I did cure him for 60 seconds. And before getting the outline on, I did make sure I do a full 60-second cure to make sure that he was completely cured. And then after doing the outline, I did another 60-second cure to make sure that the outline was cured. Now I'm just going in and repeating the same thing with the ghost, just basically doing like I would a coloring book and painting him and getting all his color on him. And then and I do the same thing, like I try to do all the same colors first. So like I go in and do all the white first, and then I'll go in and do like the orange or whatever color I do next. Um, that way I'm not having to switch between colors a whole lot, and I'm not having to clean my brush off every couple seconds or whatever. I can just, get one color done and then move on and be done with that previous color. And so flash curing in between the colors, after I get all of them on, I do go ahead and do a full 60-second cure and then go in and outline him where he needs to be outlined. and add in any finishing details that are needed on him. last three nails, I didn't really know what exactly to do for them. I did just kind of want to do some sort of cute little pattern on them to match with like the vintage theme. Um, and I was thinking about doing like the diamond pattern that is on the ghost hat, but I'm like, that's a little more than what I want to do, and it took me a while to get the cat and the ghost done. I kind of just wanted to do something quick and easy, so I decided to add on some polka dots, and I like kind of staggered them in like a, I guess like checkerboard type of pattern. Um, just because, like I said, it was quick and easy. It also fit in with the vintage theme. Like I was noticing when I was searching up like vintage Halloween stuff, there was a lot of polka dots. There's polka dots on the bow ties. I think on both of the bow ties for the cat and the ghost. I know definitely on the cat. I'm pretty sure on the ghost too. But anyhow, I just went in, dotted those dots on, and then once I got them all on, I went ahead and cured for a full 60 seconds. Now I'm going in with the Nails by Dev matte top coat and top coating all of the nails with this. And like I mentioned all the time when I use this top coat, it is a wipe off top coat, so you do have to wipe it off with alcohol after you cure it to get that matte effect. But also because it is a matte top coat, it doesn't smudge or smear your design at all. And if you've seen any of my videos before using this matte top coat, when I would use different matte top coats, I always stated how you needed to wipe off your nail art before going in with your matte top coat, otherwise you're gonna get smudging and smearing. But like I said, because this is a wipe off top coat, that it doesn't do the smudging and smearing. At least that's what I've heard. I've heard that wipe off matte top coats don't smudge and smear your design. This is the only one that I have that is a wipe off matte top coat. So I don't know if it's all of them or just this one specifically, but I know in my experience that so far it is true that a wipe off top coat doesn't do the smudging and smearing like a no wipe matte top coat. So this is the finished result, and I think it came out super cute. I actually really love this set. I think the vintage Halloween decorations and themes are super cute. Like I said in the beginning, they're creepy just because of like the way they look and like their facial expressions. Like the facial expression on this cat, like freaks me out a little bit, but it's super cute and I love it. And I really like the colors on this set and like just the colors that are associated with like the vintage Halloween designs in general. And I think matte top coating it was a really good move. I do think it would look good shiny, but I just feel like the matte fits in more with the vintage vibes. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.